All right, good afternoon. It is 12:35 on this Tuesday. What is the 7th? It's the 7th of July. I hope you guys are doing well. It's an afternoon update today. Sometimes we have to fight to get on to our room here in the stream room. But hey, we made it. We made it today. Hello, everyone. How are your beautiful faces doing today? A lot to cover in the short term, obviously. But as promised, I was going to get into some long-term stuff. Hello, everyone. I'm Wave Meteorologist Brian Good. Today's edition of Storm Talk is going to be a mixed bag of my least favorite winter term, by the way, mixed bag. I can't stand when we say that. Anyway, it's going to cover the short term, the storm setup, the Friday front, how things are going to evolve into next week, which really will be the main storyline as we close out August and into close out July and head into August. And I've got two pieces of data that indicate our first glimpse. This is not a forecast, but our first glimpse of winter. So if you guys are curious about that, or you know somebody that will be, go ahead and share this to their page quickly and tell them to hurry up and jump on. That'll be toward the end. I like to go in chronological order. But as always, you guys can comment on the social media side. Right now, let's see, who do we got in here? Who we got? Got Shonda. Let's see. Is it Brown Eyes? Hi, Brown Eyes. Elizabeth is on here. Concoction. Yeah, I agree. I have my own catchphrases. Some of you may know what they are if you watch on TV. I say them a lot. I do a lot. It drives me crazy when I have seen my videos back and I do all the time. It's a space filler. Something that, trust me, in broadcast school, they do try to break you that. I struggle with that because I just don't like dead silence. And sometimes you just got to be silent. So that's one of my bad habits I have. One of many that I'm sure you guys have noticed. You can point them out if you want. I may or may not ban you afterwards, but it's a risk. Okay, so let's get into how things are looking as we head into the short term, and then we'll get into the radar views. Lots of cumulus. Once again, just like yesterday, I mean, I'm on a little later than yesterday, but we've got quite a few of them that have been developing, looking off to the south from Indiana. And this is going to be more of an Indiana or a Kentucky show today. Indiana, you'll be on the edge of some of these downpours, but majority of the action does look to be a Kentucky show today. And because not a lot has changed here. We're still dealing with a very humid setup. There's no front that came through yesterday, so it's the same air mass. All it needed was some sun. It's been enjoying that. Dew points are still in the 70s. Bardstown, dew point, 76. Fort Knox, 77. Ah, yes, the classic air you can wear. Yeah, that's what's happening. But that's what's feeding these flash flooding events because there's no tailpipe. So these storms, when they develop, they can get so tall. Sometimes they can get up to 45. Rarely do I see them get to 50,000 feet, but they can if there's enough cape. They can get up to 50,000 feet, and then that's the max, and then they collapse. And it's when they collapse that's when they're the most dangerous when it comes to a burst of straight line winds. But more importantly, when that collapse happens, yes, you get a big pool of rain cool air, but a ring forms outside of the storm, a little thin green line. Hey, how you doing? A little thin green line forms, and it drifts away from the storm. That becomes the mini cold front. So as the main storm has collapsed, it then allows the new outflow to create its offspring, if you will, and then additional showers and storms develop. We just don't know where that outflow is going to go. Sometimes it'll dive north, west, south. A lot of different factors come into play. And when you don't have a lot of wind, it's kind of like a guessing game to see which way it's going to go. But no doubt, if you're in the line of that, you'll be next in line to get the next round of heavier downpours. And that's basically how we track these, which is a lot of nowcasting, but that's about the only way you can. Now, the models do help somewhat, but not the best. And they've done well yesterday, to be honest. You can easily see the storm zone was roughly along the Ohio River yesterday, but that doesn't tell the entire story. I had hardly anything in my house. You get down into Bullock County, into Nelson County, into E-Town. These are radar estimates. It's very odd. The radar estimates are too low here. You guys had quite a bit of rain, more than 3 inches. It says at least 2. You definitely get more than that. And that's common in high humidity scenarios. The radar doesn't always interpret rainfall amounts accurately. Gauges are very important in this case. And we had a lot of gauges in the Louisville Metro yesterday that were able to record the true reality of what was happening, because the radar was saying only an inch of rain has fallen, say, in J-Town. Let me get you up to there. There's what the map looked like in Louisville. The radar was indicating only about rain in J-Town. However, we had gauges there that were crossing over 3 inches. Well, that's a big difference, especially in about a 30-minute window. That will cause flash flooding. So that's when the upgrade happened to a flash flood warning quickly. So it's multiple tools you got to use as long as you have those tools available. And I know not in all areas do we have rain gauges. So sometimes we only have the radar data until we get flooding reports. And at that point, it's usually too late. When you start hearing floods, roads underwater, damage is already done. The danger is already there. The goal, obviously, is to try to get ahead of the game, right? So these are the rainfall estimates yesterday. It's saying an inch of rain fell in J-Town near Quake Park. We know that the average is more of 3 to 4. A tremendous amount. But still, parts of Okolona, some parts of Fern Creek, even some parts of downtown, hardly a drop fell. So it was not the same storyline yesterday. You may have heard a lot of alerts go off on your phone. You're like, yeah, that's the way it is. And today, probably we'll have the same reaction. All right, but look at the satellite image today. And boy, it looks similar to the rainfall map I just showed you, right? Generally along the Ohio River. A little more action here south of the parkways today compared to yesterday. And now, so it has wavered a bit. It's not exactly more along the river, northeast, south, west kind of a motion there. It is a little more wavy, but it is including part of Louisville. So let's get rid of the clouds and let's just focus on the radar only. I'll take you into a closer view. We'll get into Breckenridge and Bardstown area in just a second. Get you first into Adair. This has been a cluster. It's been holding together the best so far near the Cumberland Falls area. Nothing severe. In fact, I think I have, hold on. I just turned lightning on, see if it shows up. I don't think I see any strikes, though. No strikes. So these are just downpours in southern Adair County heading toward, say, Cumberland, Monroe. Meanwhile, let's get into the metro area a little closer anyway. Got a few downpours into areas around Bloomfield that have just popped up, south and east of Bloomfield, really into Williamsburg. In Bullock County, we have one that just now popped near the Brooks exit, the John Harper, and also in Fern Creek near Seatonville Road. And then one small one located off of just west of 31W there, heading into Hardin County. The city itself, fairly quiet. We've had a couple that have tried to form on the western side of Jefferson County, otherwise a few showers into Harrison. So what I'm basically telling you is at the moment, there is nothing that is causing flash flooding, and there's nothing overly organized yet. And as long as they stay small like this, we don't have a huge risk of that flash flooding. It's when they get tall enough, they start producing boundaries, then you start to get bigger conglomerates that start to develop. And that is when it gets a little chaotic and the bumper car action kicks in. Typically in this scenario, it can take up to about 90 minutes for us to get to that point. Since the storms have they've been on the radar now for about 30 minutes, roughly 12, 15. They've been on the radar. So that would put us roughly at about the 1:30 to 2:15, 2:30 window. Again, similar to yesterday. That if we're going to get bigger conglomerates, that's what we need to watch. And once we do, we need to watch out for flash flooding because there's not a tailpipe here for them to move. So if you get stuck under one, you're going to be under it for a while, and you just got to wait till it rains itself out. Hopefully, it is displaced enough that it's hitting the areas that were not hit yesterday. Wouldn't that be nice so that everyone gets an equal amount of rain to an extent and not so just blotchy? But I got a feeling that some areas that were hit hard yesterday will have an overlap. So this is just your big heads up. Make sure you have a way to get notified. If we start to see signs of a more organized threat affecting one of our larger communities, then I'm not going to roll out a short-term alert day that'll come out. We want to be very focused, though, on that once confidence gets raised. Right now, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. But once we start to see the bumper car action, we'll be able to narrow it in. Yesterday, we sent a lot of alerts out to your phones, so make sure you have your GPS notification turned on your Wave Weather app. And I think I have 3 that I sent out yesterday just for certain neighborhoods that we felt were more at risk. So you may not see us on social media. You may not see us on TV or even here on the stream, but you will get something from us. We'll notify you if we feel like you're an immediate threat. Fair enough? All right, so let's get into the moisture that's in the air because that's what really stands out. Look at these, the PWATs, and it's just a bowl of soup of deep moisture here. This is, again, the rainfall rate over 2 inches an hour. And in some cases, when you get thunderstorms, you can nearly double that. In many cases, you can get at least 3 inches an hour out of this when you get a thunderstorm involved. But that's how much the air has right now that it's holding, and it's ready to rain out. And all it needs is a thunderstorm to help it. And so that's the reason why we've outlined generally central Kentucky, right along the river, is a spot to watch for flash flooding. Yes, you got high humidity everywhere else, but the values are not as high as what central Kentucky has. Also, the reason why the Weather Prediction Center is outlined for the extreme weather outlook, they generally drew it in that spot where the higher moisture content is, mainly along the river and south as well. These all only last for a few hours, and then we'll begin to dial this back down and maybe get a little fog. And then guess what? We're going to do it again tomorrow. And it probably tomorrow will be about the same spot. There's no front here. So without anything to just move things around, we're kind of like, hey, it's Bill Murray here doing Groundhog Day all over again. Phil Connors. So let's discuss some of the data I can show you. Again, this is really nowcasting, but I like to show some modeling because there is some part of this down the road that is interesting. Here's where Futurecast has this coming up. I'll say they just issued a WPC heavy rainfall outlook. Let me see if I can get that. Hold on. Sometimes it's hard to tell if it includes us or not because I have so many offices triggered. So hang tight. This is going to be for the lower Ohio Valley. So I'm assuming that will be us and the Tennessee Valley. For flash flooding, rates of 2 inches or higher for flash flooding. Rapid uptick in showers, very little organization, slow movement of the storms, rainfall potential 2 to 4 inches. All right. So you got the drill. They just issued, at least WPC did, their outlook, kind of like SPC does, like when they're about to issue a watch, just giving you a heads up that it's underway now. So, but you guys already know that. All right. So here's our in-house model, and it's got us at 3 o'clock today at about 88. Did really well with the thunderstorms in placement yesterday. Today, it's a little struggling here with the core area. No doubt, I think there will be a little bit more of a focus, a little bit more into Tennessee today. But if we can get some thunderstorms that are more east-west oriented across orientation there along, say, I-40, that will help. And hoping anyway, I'm blocking some of the storms from being in Kentucky a little more organized. So it really depends on what happens in Nashville. So we'll be watching the radars down there too to see what happens. Because yesterday we didn't have much blocking our flow. All right, they fade out toward later tonight, sunset or maybe midnight. And then tomorrow we heat up. About the same time, storms, downpours begin to pop. Flash flooding, again, will be an issue in isolated cases. And then we'll tame things down. Now we get into Thursday, and that's what things change. Before I get to that, as always, any questions on just this immediate scenario? And it's pretty self-explanatory. So I don't think there's not much else I can do. Go in the weeds on it, right? Don't send us here in Frankfurt any more rain. Got 1.5 yesterday. Yeah, you were the first there in Franklin County, Marty, to get the downpour. You were the catalyst, and then the one in J-Town was the one that was catalyst for Louisville. And it bounced from there. Hello, Tootie, watching from Texas over in El Paso. Hope all is well. Hey, Chris. Towers going up north of E-Town. Don't like the way it looks with the flooding. You're right, especially when they're not doing any leaning or anything, right? They're just going straight up. I mean, these yesterday was wild. We had lightning and dark clouds and thunder right in the distance, and it just stayed there the whole time. There wasn't any change. It was like you're waiting for the storm to arrive, and it just never arrived. And it's a very weird feeling if you're on the dry side. But think about those that were on the storm side and you're stuck in that storm zone, then you're just nonstop lightning and thunder and heavy rain. It gets to be a little loud. It's like the 4th of July over and over, but a little more dangerous, right? Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cover now what is next, because really today, tomorrow, will be rinse and repeat type of action. Thursday is a little different because once we get into Thursday, we're going to get rid of this little ripple, if you will. It's a very elongated low pressure. We'll get rid of that because we have another wave coming our way, a cold front. And as it arrives, it's going to do so in true MCV, MCS type of fashion. Now, this model can be a little dramatic with that type of process, but it's right on the evolution of what is likely to happen. It just can be a little wild on timing. So I'm going to show you, but caution what you're about to see. Here we go into Thursday afternoon. We heat up. Here comes the MCV or MCS out of Illinois. This does have a tailpipe with it, and that tailpipe will actually get stronger as we head into the nighttime hours of Thursday night into Friday. So that will produce a wave of damaging wind. Now, what they have against them is timing being at night. There's not as much fuel to work with in this case, where we'll be lowering the fuel amounts anyway, and you get what we call an inversion that'll be developing, a natural inversion. So that will help the damaging wind threat, but it's another nocturnal event for Thursday night into Friday. I think there will initially be a damaging wind threat in Illinois moving into Indiana. If there's any tornado threat, and this one I think will carry at least some isolated tornado potential, it will likely be found more on the southern side and spots that are too familiar with that, central Illinois, southern Illinois, and maybe southwest Indiana. Otherwise, they will be running out of the severe elements, but could still get some rain and thunder for sure to flow in. But what this is going to do, and it almost looks like an arrow that has moved in, right? This is going to repeat itself. We're going to end up now going quickly into our heavy rain flash flooding mode right out of the gate as we head into Friday. And this is where the model stops as sunrise or daybreak on Friday. And you can see the blob of rain in Missouri and Illinois that's going to be arriving, hopefully after rush hour, but it'll be close. It'll be close. And other models look a little different than this. Some hold on and don't bring this in until after daybreak on Friday. Some bring this in Thursday afternoon. So that will matter on the intensity, because obviously a daytime arrival, more intense on the severe elements on wind. If it's a nocturnal event, not as much of a worry on the severe wind elements, but much more of a worry on flash flooding. So there's not really a good on either. That's the reason why this is likely going to be a setup that's going to feature an alert day period. But the timing, we got to nail down. We don't want to just broad brush it and say anytime between Thursday and New Year's. We want to focus it. So give us time to focus that window down. But I'm talking about it a lot now, so you guys are getting the pre-alert day. So you know what's coming our way, and we'll let's hope the data changes on it. Show you a different view. This is the Euro itself. Now its grid is a little poor. It's a 6-hour grid. What I mean by that is that even though it's a timestamp says 1 p.m., the clock could be off by plus or minus 6 hours. So the Euro that's the reason why it's not a good short-term model to use. Long-term, not bad. But longer term, the Euro is a hard one to look at. But in general, you do see that we have still some rain and thunderstorms even during the day at some point, Friday into Friday night, even on Saturday. And this should be the last little gasp here on Saturday as a low pressure will develop along the front and will help dive the front down to the south and should bring down our moisture levels enough that at least on Sunday, I think the storm chance may be slanted right through E-Town and south. If you're north in E-Town, I think majority on Sunday will be dry, but it's all about how far it can push, but that's the way it's looking today. And then even better odds as we get into Monday, we'll be able to take out even less or more moisture out of the air. Still will feel humid, but nothing like the sauna we've had here lately. So the thunderstorm coverage will dial back. As we're enjoying that, it's still not exactly going to be cool because dry air heats up, remember? So we are going to deal with a significant amount of heat building just to our west before yet another push, a secondary front moves in just beyond the range here that you're seeing on the Euro. And this is the one that we talked about. When did we talk about this? In May or June? We talked about there was that signal in mid-July that was showing up of these troughs that were trying to drop in and give us cooler than normal temperatures in July. I think someone mentioned it yesterday. What happened to that idea? Well, it's still there on the data. It's off on timing. The Euro is probably the slowest. GFS is the fastest. It wants to bring it in next Wednesday. But they're all seeing it. It's just a matter of will it be able to reach us fully and give us a break? Because while we're enjoying that, the heat dome itself is going to be absolutely blazing just to our west. We're going to be on the eastern side of this heat dome. In fact, here's another way to show that. Let me bring that full screen. So the Euro ensembles. All right, here's the next Tuesday. Here's the dump, by the way. Here's where we are for next Tuesday. And here we are about the 20th or so. Here's Kentucky. Look at the heat dome, how intense this is. I mean, I'm talking about 100 to 100 and maybe 8 degrees on actual temperature for the upper Midwest. Dangerous heat wave for the upper plains there. Yikes, got to feel for even southern Canada on that one. That heat core does get pushed a little bit more west, slightly, around the 20th. We're not in it in either case. We're on the edge of it in both cases. But as we get into later July, the problem we got here is look where we're at. Remember the Ring of Fire? All the storms go around it, right? Well, I got to watch for MCSs that may be diving in from the Midwest into the Ohio Valley. And that setup, at least initially, they may aim more into the Mid-Atlantic, giving us a break. We'll be hot, but not all the way in the heat dome. So that's how next week is looking. But the end of next week and to close out July, the heat dome will still be west of us, but we're going to be likely in that MCS zone. So a stormy into July is looking more and more likely. And we're not going to stop there because I did get some data all the way into August from the Euro. Now, this is just one model ensemble's idea, but I'd love to look at it. This is your temperature profile into August. Notice it is slightly lower in the southeast. We're about, yellow, close to average, but slightly cooler in the southeast, slightly cooler into the southern Rockies, Four Corners, and way above the mark into the plains. A couple things with that. One, that tells us, obviously, it is going to be a heat wave to remember for the plains. We think it's bad now. We think it's going to get bad next week, but get ready for August. Why is it cooler in the Rockies? Well, it's still hot. Well, the reason for that, it's that time of the year. It's the monsoon season. This is all showers and thunderstorms that move in from the monsoon. So this is your typical heavy rain scenario. A lot of flash flooding, too, for the southern Rockies. That's typical for their climate. And this may be also a sign of either showers and storms that are constantly being fed in from the Gulf. It could be a sign of stalled fronts. It could be a sign of MCSs. That signal is not as clear on what that means for us. But at least we're not in the blazing hot area. But let's go further. Let's look at the moisture levels on this long-term outlook. And they nearly match of what I just explained. So here's your monsoon showing above normal precip and above normal still parts of Ohio Valley in the southeast, indicating stormy weather, but how we get that, too hard to know. But look how dry it is under the heat dome. Yikes. Not good news for them there. So this is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. This is just the Euro ensembles, but it's interesting. There's more support on this than there has been before. So, and this is pretty typical El Nino too. Look to that. That gets us through August. Any questions? Any questions? I'm writing Santa. All right. Everyone's all upset about that. All right. Now I'm going to show you some winter data. Maybe. I don't know if you're. I should probably I should stop there. I don't think you want to see the winter data at all. It's too early. Yeah, someone's going to accuse me of wish casting. You don't want to see it. It'll stress you out probably or make you happy. I don't know. So maybe I should just wait, a couple more months or so. Let's see. A repeat of 2012? Oh, I hope not. But at least for the planes, perhaps. Keep going. Let's see. I only have a couple people saying they're ready. Oh, I see some bots lovers now. Please spare us. Gary says no. But more you're saying yes than no. Fine. I'll cave. All right, so this is the, what am I going to show you? Oh, long-term Euro for the winter idea. Now, this gets a little weird looking because I want to draw where we're at. As we evolve into November, December, and January, Kentucky is right here, basically in the blue. What this is telling us is, in just a very simple way, large area of Antarctica into the eastern side of Canada. Strong jet stream, very stormy track. Pineapple Express likely going on. We'll see if it's a match El Nino. But a very strong storm track for the southern United States. And that is interesting. You get that southern storm track and you've got your cold air supplier to the north. Well. Now, before you think, oh no, that means it could snow, right? I have no idea. No one knows. I'm just telling you the players on the field on this particular model indicate an interesting look for winter. But we know how this goes. I've seen this layout many times and it ends up being Atlanta gets snow or Nashville gets snow. The finer details in weather. This is more climate, but in weather, the finer details will matter. But I thought it was interesting. But you know what? I did not stop there. I looked at the Jamstack model, the Japanese run. This came out recently. And I looked at its temperature profile for the winter. I have never, in all the years I've been using this model for winter, at least suggestions, have seen it that cold for the eastern and southeast part of the country for the winter season. Last year, in fact, it was cooler than normal, but it wasn't nothing extreme. And the fact that it has certainly the blowtorch for El Nino showing up for the West Coast tells me that, yes, we've got a problem with blocking. We've got a strong El Nino at play, but the blocking here that's happening for the Atlantic into Canada, Hudson Bay area, that may be a big catalyst on we get the moisture fed to us, but the cold air instead of being transient, maybe there will be times when the cold air will actually try to dive down and become friends. Wouldn't that be exciting? We'll see. Got a long way off. Winter forecast doesn't come out until Halloween night. And I'm sure there's other pieces of data that say no cold at all. So to be fair, I'll try to find that equal opportunity here. But I wanted to share with that because again, for that particular model, I have never seen that show up on the signal. Could be gone when it updates next month. I will let you know. All right, 10-day real quick. And I got to run because we got a lot going on today watching the radar. The next 3 or 4 days, about Friday set up, right? If you're making weekend plans, plan anything outside, a little easier for Sunday and Saturday will be to give it just a little bit more time to move south into Tennessee. Just got to give it time for that to happen. And then next week, we do get into that edge of that heat dome that's going to be much more impressive just west of us. We'll put our toes in. We'll likely get into the lower 90s, but we've been so wet, I don't think we'll go much higher than lower 90s out of that. But just beyond the 10-day, that's when the second front will move in. And there is a chance that at the end portion of July, we may actually score several days in some lower 80s with sunshine. I'm not going to roll that out, which would be pretty awesome if we can score that. It's reachable, but the heat dome is going to be the boss. El Nino is the boss. The heat dome is the boss. It depends on how expansive it is and how much it wants to move over to allow the dip to happen. If it's stubborn and doesn't want to move out of the way, then we may be stuck in the lower 90s for a while. So not extreme heat, but it would still keep us hot. Hope that all makes sense. It's going to be a fun time. Interesting one, too. A lot of moving parts this year that we have to watch. And even without big, strong cold fronts, you've seen what we've been dealing with here locally. We have more issues. As I say this every year, it's true. In the summer season, we have more issues with wind damage and flooding, I feel like, than we do in the spring because they're more, they don't get as much attention. They're a little more, you can get caught off guard because it is so sudden on the flash flooding. In the summertime, there's so much moisture, the summer humidity, versus in the spring, you get a lot of heads up with strong cold fronts moving in, and we have sometimes alert days out in advance. You're more prepared for these events, right? And river flooding as well. But when you get into flash flooding, it's got that term flash in front of it for a reason. Those are harder to predict, but they have high impact, and they are by far our biggest killer we have in Kentucky, are flash floods. And we've already lost lives in the last week here. So please pay attention to these events and don't drive through those high waters. It may look like your tire will be just fine. You're thinking, an SUV, I'll be great. You don't know what is even further down that road you're taking. You may know the road well, but bridges are not as stable as you think they are with the force of water. Water is an incredible force, and it can be very destructive and destroy things and knock a bridge out, and you won't even know that it's gone until it's too late. So please just don't take the risk. Turn around. Don't drown. All right. Thank you all. Thanks for letting me ramble for a while. I got to run and get checking on the radar. I see some more of the cumulus getting taller on our E-Town camera, so I want to go check that out. We'll be on at 3 o'clock. We'll monitor the flooding threat. We'll keep you updated on that. And the Friday system, we'll get more data on as well. You guys are awesome. Thanks for watching. I will find you guys. Come up on the flip side at 3 a.m. All right. See you then.